Трансляция началась.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья, здравствуйте. Сегодня наша встреча посвящена Международному дню переводчиков. Международный день переводчика является профессиональным праздником для преподавателей, студентов и выпускников Института иностранных языков Российского университета дружбы народов. Мы выпускаем специалистов в области перевода и переводоведения, политического перевода, синхронного перевода. Официально Международный день переводчика празднуется с 1991 года, но история этого праздника связана с именем святого Иеронима Стридонского, который в свое время перевел Библию на латинский язык и который теперь считается покровителем переводчиков. Неоднократно Международный день переводчиков проводился под разными девизами, но самый главный девиз Международного дня переводчика – «Работаем вместе», потому что, как вы знаете, работа переводчика связана с людьми, связана с взаимопониманием людей во всем мире, межкультурной коммуникацией. Институт иностранных языков гордится своими выпускниками, которые сегодня работают и устными переводчиками, и письменными переводчиками, и переводчиками-синхронистами. Среди наших выпускников члены Союза переводчиков – это Анна Катихина, переводчиком работал Владимир Анатольевич Крупнов. Мы знаем Анну Рудковскую, которая неоднократно переводила президенту Российской Федерации Путину. Среди наших профессиональных переводчиков Мария Делько Гонзалес, которая сегодня работает в Министерстве иностранных дел Восточной Республики Уругвай, и многие другие. Позвольте вас еще раз поздравить с таким праздником и сказать, что вам предстоит овладеть не только одной из самых престижных, интересных и востребованных, но и очень ответственных профессий. От ваших знаний и умений будет зависеть уровень взаимопонимания между странами и народами. Вам предстоит быть ежедневно, постоянно в центре событий в многонациональном и культурном мире, вести неустанную работу в области перевода и международных контактов. Мы признательны нашим гостям, которые неоднократно посещали Институт иностранных языков и читали для вас лекции, проводили мастер-классы. Это известный переводчик-синхронист Андрей Фалалеев. Только что состоялась встреча у вас с Кириллом Казаковым, членом команды переводчиков президента Российской Федерации. У нас в Институте иностранных языков преподают представители Министерства иностранных дел такую дисциплину, как синхронный перевод. Мы благодарны нашей выпускнице Наталье Коблевой, которая сегодня работает в Организации Объединенных Наций, является переводчиком, которая неоднократно для студентов Института иностранных языков проводила лекции и мастер-классы. Еще раз хочу поздравить вас с праздником. И сегодня наш почетный гость, старший преподаватель кафедры иностранных языков Московского государственного автомобильно-дорожного технического университета Вера Васильевна Еремеева. Она является выпускницей Института иностранных языков и еще раз подтверждает, что образование в Институте иностранных языков имеет междисциплинарный характер. Она является выпускницей такого направления, как социальная педагогика. Она является социальной педагогикой, преемником этого направления является психолого-педагогическое направление, где обучение также ведется, как и в предыдущие годы, с углубленным изучением английского языка и дает право преподавания в вузе. Тогда вот, пожалуйста, лекция Веры Васильевны Еремеевой. Вера Васильевна ответит на все ваши вопросы, которые вы зададите в чате. И у меня к вам просьба, если кто-то не зарегистрировался сейчас со своей электронной почты, пожалуйста, сделайте это. Спасибо.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yeremeva Vera Vasilyevna, and I am a senior teacher in Moscow Automobile and Road Construction State Technical University. Today, we are going to talk about different types of translation and how we can translate different texts in an easier way. So I want to share with you my 12 years teaching experience, and during these 12 years I had been working with some translating, some written form of translating, and I have some secrets of how to make it faster. So, and I wish we could meet in an offline meeting, but unfortunately 2020 decided it in another way. So we are going to start with some theoretical information, and then at the end I will tell you about some tips, as I told you before. So there are two main classifications of translation, and the first one is genre stylistic classification, and the second one is psycholinguistic classification. The first one, genre stylistic classification, can be divided into two. The first one is literary, and the second one is informative. We are not going to discuss it in a deeper way. I hope you study it at university. So, and the second one is a psycholinguistic classification, which is divided into two as well. The first one is interpreting and written translation. All the types of translation can be divided in many forms, and if you want to continue working after graduating from university, if you want to continue working in a translating sphere, of course you should pay a lot of attention into different kinds of translating. If you work with general translating, I mean, if you translate only general texts, it's not so difficult to do it because nowadays we have a lot of dictionaries and so on. But if you work with specific, let's call it like this, specific texts, you should go deeper, not only in English, you should go deeper in the specific language which you work with. So the next one, taking into account the quotation of time of translation, it is also possible to distinguish such type of interpretation as consecutive interpreting and simultaneous interpreting. So there can be a quotation of translation direction. It can be a literal and two-way translation. It can be divided like participation of human. It can be a machine translation where no people are needed, and traditional translation, which is usually performed by a person. And today I want to talk with you about written translation. As I told you, if you want to work with any kind of translation, and I told you there are a lot of them, you should study them very much to know like nature of this translation type. So first of all, I think what is the most important, what is like the basis of working with any kind of translating. First of all, you should be native speaker of the target language. You should know all the traditions of this language. You should know like customs, and the translator must have good understanding of what is going on in this language. It is very important because when you have a text and there are some traditional rules, and if you don't know them or don't understand them, it can be like, I hope not, but it can be like political problems after you're translating. As I told you, we hope that it won't be like this. So it is very important to be, it's very important for translator from text from English to Russian to be an expert in the fields of the text that you work in. For example, it can be field of legal, medical, technical, scientific, or commercial translations. It is very important because if you don't pay attention to words of this specific sphere, you will never translate it properly. So be careful about it. What is where you have to pay attention to? The actual context in the source and target languages. The meaning and subtext of the same context can be very, very different. So, for example, I work in technical university, which means that I study technical English mainly, but sometimes it is general English. And our students, they learn technical words because they work with automobile, road spheres, and so on. And I have this problem for a long time because, for example, our students, when we read technical texts, or sometimes it is general texts with technical vocabulary, and how do they translate these texts? It is crazy. For example, you will hear now one sentence, and there is an example of a very easy word. We know this word from our childhood. So listen carefully. The automobile is made up of three basic parts: the power plant or the engine, the chassis, and the body. So, how do we translate it in Russian? Автомобиль состоит из трех основных частей: двигателя, шасси, and кузова. So the word body, it is кузов, because in technical English we can't say it like автомобиль состоит из трех основных частей: двигателя, шасси и тела. In this case, but really some students, they still translate the word body like тело, and it is absolutely fine for them to translate it like тело автомобиля. So I always ask them what they're talking about. What, like arms, legs? Does your car have it? Like, of course not. So as a translator, you should be very, very attentive to this kind of vocabulary. Of course, we're not going to discuss all these examples, but it is, I think, one of the funniest. So next tip that you should be very, very attentive to, it is grammatical features of two languages. What do I mean? Remember that grammar, being the most important component of any language, has its own specific rules in each of them. So grammar is very, very important. Now I see lots of questions and lots of problems with my students when, for example, we have sentence like the weather is fine today, and the weather was fine today. During the translation, they see no difference in form of the verb to be. Is like present form and was like past form. And for example, these two sentences, they can translate in the same way, like погода хорошая сегодня. And they don't see any difference in that it was like yesterday or last week or last month, whatever, and it is like today or this week. And it is very important for you in translation when you pay a lot of attention to grammar, because, for example, if you want not only if you want, if you translate the text and there is the past form, especially when we have a lot of problems with perfect system, present perfect, past perfect, and future perfect, especially with present perfect. If you translate the text and something happened in the past, and you don't translate it like it happened in the past, it will be a huge problem with understanding the meaning of the text. So be careful with grammar. The next one is spelling. Spelling is a target language, is the most important factor of quality of translation. What do I mean when I talk about spelling? There is huge difference between, for example, American and British English. And one of the most different, it is spelling, when we can write one word in two different ways. I have lots of students who always ask me, why did you write, for example, the word color? Yeah, in British English, it is C-O-L-O-U-R. In American English, it is C-O-L-O-R without the letter U. So some ask me like, why did you write this word with letter U? I said, because it is English, yeah, British English. And if you wrote it without U letter, you use American English. So there is no right or wrong. It is two different ways of using English, because we have like English in general, but we have American English, British English, Australian English, and of course we're not going to discuss how many various types of English we have in the United Kingdom or where else. So a lot of. So next. Written norms adapted for the target language. When you translate anything, you should be attentive to the target language, and you should look after how it's going to be at the end of your translation. So we are talking about spelling, punctuation, grammar, as well as the rules of capitalization of words in capital letters, and division of the text into paragraphs. You must know by now that punctuation in Russian and English is very different. For example, sometimes when we use commas in English, we don't use them in Russian and opposite. So you should be careful to this. Next one is a very important one. It is translation of idioms and stable expressions from one language to another is often very difficult. It is the same like it works with phrasal verbs. So, for example, phrase help yourself, I hope you know it. It is угощайтесь, but not помогите себе. And now, for example, like it was last week, we started studying the new vocabulary with first grade students, and we have phrasal word take place, which means происходить, случаться. And I don't know, maybe only one of 10 of my group, they can say it like происходить, случаться. Everybody wrote in a test like иметь место. So if you want, I will tell you like more than 1,000 times today. If you want to learn English and to use it properly, you should check yourself in any stage of using your language. If you are not sure, maybe 1% you are not sure in what does this word mean, so check it. We have a lot of dictionaries now. It is huge possibilities to speak English fluently, properly, and grammar correct. So be careful with phrasal verbs and idioms. Next, you should translate content, not the word itself. Sometimes when we translate general texts, or we don't need to know the exact meaning of exact word, we should pay more attention to the content. So, for example, let's take the phrase make sure and enter it into the sentence. We have a sentence. Make sure that you follow the instructions carefully. If you don't know the meaning of the phrase and start translating it like word by word, you will have сделай уверен, что ты правильно следуешь инструкциям. Of course, this sentence makes no sense, of course, because we haven't thought that the meaning of the phrase make sure it is будь уверенным, Be sure. And after you know it, you put this meaning into the sentence and you have perfect translation of what you need to be translated. So next, don't forget about the proper word order. In Russian language, we can change the word order and we will still understand each other. Of course, we have some grammar rules about making the sentence, but in English, it is very strict. You should pay a lot of attention to the proper word order if you want other people understand you. So next, also don't ignore the written norms. I have told you before this, so we are going to repeat it again. What do I mean when I say written forms? It is spelling, punctuation, it is grammar, it is the rules of capitalization, and it is division of text into paragraphs, which is very important of any language. So next. It's very good. I always use it when I have possibility to do it. If possible, ask a specialist or native speaker to check your translation. You can be like perfect translator. You can be, I don't know, you can be an expert, you can be a specialist, but sometimes if you 100% sure of your work, seriously don't be, because maybe you did it in a fast way, or I don't know. Okay, maybe something happened and you missed something important. Always in our life, and I'm not talking now only about the translating. Always in our life, if you give something to second person, to another person, and ask, please check, maybe they will find something that you didn't notice. Sometimes it happens and it is okay. So especially now when you start working with translating, it's fine that you ask for help and don't hesitate to do it. It is fine. I mean, even if you are 17 or 55, like, ask for help. It's good. It's good, even if it is for free. So next, be prepared to spend a lot of time as a good translation takes a while. What do I mean? If you want to translate something properly, it doesn't work like, you copy it, send it into a translator, you copy it again and put it back. It's not 5-minute work. You need to read it, reread it, check it, recheck it, and do a lot of things for making your translation as good as possible. So the next, try to keep the author's original style, humor, conversational, or scientific style. Of course, if we talk about scientific style, I think nowadays it's not difficult to find different scientific articles in the internet. But it can be more difficult if we talk about humor or something. In this case, I advise you to read about this author. Probably you can read some texts, some stories, or some biography about this author and try to understand the personality of this person. And only after this, you can start working with the translation. So use synonymous dictionaries, spelling dictionaries, and explanatory dictionaries. It's very important if you decide that you want to work in your life with translation and translation work, to have as many dictionaries as possible. It is very important. You can buy like dictionaries like book, yeah. So the biggest one, you can kill somebody with this book, or you can find all dictionaries online. You can download it as an app. So even, I told you, even if you think that you know, and if you are sure that you know English very good, it's never bad to check yourself. Like I'm in teaching for 12 years, and really when my student ask me some translation, I don't know, and it's not bad to say, okay guys, give me a sec, I will check. No problem. And it doesn't mean that you are, oh my God, so bad, you don't know something. It's fine. It's fine to check and to tell your students or people or whoever to tell 100% information, not to tell that like, oh yeah, I think it's like this. Better check. It will be always better. So, and let the dictionary of false friends of the translator become your desktop book. What do I mean? Often the translation of words that resonate with the native language seems obvious, but take your time. For example, it's really my favorite word. It is my favorite word of all words. It is accurate. I have never heard that the person could translate it correctly from the first time. So accurate, it is точный, but in Russian language it sounds the same like аккуратный. So the dictionary of false friends should be your best friend. And if you are not sure in translating, open it and check. It is like 1 minute task. Or intelligent. I just had this word on Friday. My students translated it like intelligent, интеллигентный, but it's not. It is умный, сообразительный. Because in Russian language, the word интеллигентный has a little bit different meaning than in English. So I really my next advice is don't use only one translation source. What do I mean? If you translate, of course not if, when you translate something, open at least 3 or 4 translators or dictionaries, because all of them will give you different translating. You should translate what you need in 3, 4, if you want more, no problem, but not least. You should translate the text or the paragraph in 3 or 4 different translators, then read all the versions you have, and then choose what you need. If it is general English, of course, it will be easier. If it's not, I mean, if it is kind of specific language, you will have to spend more time, not just like in translator, you will have to open the dictionary, like I told you with the examples, with the example of body. You probably will have to open the dictionary and to find the exact meaning of the words you need in this specific sphere. So it will be pretty long task. Then, if you work with very big, massive texts, never try to translate it in a one way, like take big text and copy it and translate it. No, you should translate it in small, short parts, and then so you needed to break up in a large text into the parts, and then you will put it in one. Because I'm not sure that we have one best translator website that can work with such big texts. So split it up in small parts and translate it. And of course, I was planning, if we could meet offline, I was planning to give you some websites, the name of websites of very good translators. So, for example, it is Multitran or DeepL. Now it's a really good one. So don't. If you write in a Google, like if you write translator, don't use the first, because the first is always Google. The second one probably is Yandex.ru. So try to find some translators that can be maybe at the bottom of the page, but they will be more useful for you. So don't think that it will take like 1 minute. So take your time and find the best translator for you. And it will be our last tip. So the finished translation must be reread on a fresh head. What I mean? I mean that, for example, if you have, of course, we don't spend like 1 day for translating. If somebody asks you to translate something for 1 day, always ask for extra money. Seriously, do it. Because 1 day translation is always not so good as 2 days or 3 days, or when you have more time for it. What I do when I work with translating, I translate the text, like old text, and then I do something like I need to do, maybe clean my house or read a book or go walking or whatever. So I forget for some hours about this text. Then, so it's like when I have 2 days. Then in the evening, so if I did it in the morning, in the evening, I go back to work with this text and I read it again. So usually I find like maybe half of mistakes, so then like 50% of mistakes, so like grammar, punctual, or spelling or something. Then I forget about it again. I do my things, I enjoy my life, and so on. And the next day in the morning, when I wake up, I go and check it again. So sometimes working with one text, I reread it 2, 3 or more times, because like I told you, in a fresh head, you can find mistakes. And only after second time, so it is always the next day, I find all mistakes if they are here, and I check them, and then my translation is done. I think it is one of the most important advice that I can give you. Never send your translation when you just finished it. Never ever do it, because probably the person who asked you to do this translation will send you back, if they understand, if they know, they will send you back and say, no, sorry, there are some mistakes. And you will look, unfortunately, unprofessional. So if you have 2, 3 or more days, do it. Check it, recheck it, reread it, and do as many efforts to make it perfect as you can. I think that it is the most important things that I can tell you in this type of telling about the translation. Now, guys, you have everything online, and if you want to be professional in your sphere, just be. What do I mean, just be? Read a lot of information in the internet. Don't hesitate to pay for courses. I mean, when I graduated from our university, I graduated from Russian Friendship University, the Institute of Foreign Languages. I started going to different courses, like how to teach young students, how to teach adults. I studied English abroad. I mean, if you choose your career, don't stop studying, because language is changing every day. And if you want to be professional, don't stop. So I was very, very happy and lucky to tell you some of my secrets and some information that I use in my professional sphere. I really hope that it was interesting for you, and you can use it in your work. I wish you luck, and I wish you a lot of success, whatever you choose in your life. So, goodbye.
Дорогие друзья, наша встреча подошла к концу. Полагаю, что от вашего имени мы персонально передадим поздравления Вере Васильевне с Международным днем переводчика. Всем вам желаю успеха, удачи в вашей будущей профессиональной деятельности. Спасибо за внимание. До свидания.